The absurd advantage. Supreme Fleet Commander Hexaz Tool of the mighty Krillian Dominion watched with mandibles twitching in satisfaction as his armada of 300 warships emerged from hyperspace, their sleek obsidian hulls glinting against the backdrop of Earth's blue sphere. The primitive humans had rejected their offer to become a protectorate species, and now they would learn what happened to those who defied the Dominion. Status report. Hexaz Tool demanded, his exoskeleton clicking as he moved across the bridge of the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest. All ships have successfully transitioned, Supreme Commander, his first officer reported. Defensive systems at optimal capacity. Weapons charged and ready. Earth's defensive fleet has been detected moving to intercept. Hexaz Tool's compound eyes focused on the tactical display where tiny blue dots representing human spacecraft were organizing into formation. Pathetic. The humans had barely mastered interplanetary travel, while the Krillians had conquered 12 star systems. Their vessels were crude, ungainly things compared to the elegant biomechanical perfection of Krillian engineering. They send only 53 ships against our armada. Hexaz Tool clicked his mandibles in the Krillian equivalent of laughter. This will be over quickly. Prepare to deploy our primary weapon arrays. I want their command vessels targeted first. Aboard the EDF Resolute, Commander Alexa Chen felt a cold knot of dread form in her stomach as she observed the Krillian fleet on her display. The Earth Defense Force had mustered every available ship, but they were hopelessly outnumbered and outgunned. Orders, Commander. Her XO, Lieutenant Jack Morrison, asked quietly. Chen took a deep breath. Deploy according to Operation Last Resort, and get Dr. Patel on the line. I need to know if his crazy theory is ready to test. Morrison nodded grimly and relayed the orders. Moments later, the haggard face of Dr. Vikram Patel appeared on the communication screen. Please tell me you have good news, Doctor, Chen said without preamble. Patel's exhausted expression broke into a cautious smile. The prototypes are ready, Commander. 25 units as requested. But I must emphasize that this is completely untested technology based on theoretical. We're out of options and out of time, Doctor. Chen cut in. Get them deployed immediately. As the communication ended, Morrison looked at her questioningly. What exactly is Operation Last Resort, Commander? Command was unusually secretive about the details. Chen turned to him with a grim smile. Something so absurdly simple that it just might work. The Krillians have invaded 12 worlds with their advanced technology, but Dr. Patel discovered something unusual about their defensive systems. She pulled up a technical schematic on her console. Their ships are protected by quantum phase shields, incredibly sophisticated technology that can repel any energy weapon or physical projectile we've thrown at them. But there's a catch. On the bridge of the Inevitable Conquest, Hexaz Tool was growing impatient. Why haven't we engaged yet? Order the Vanguard to advance and commence firing. Supreme Commander, his tactical officer interrupted. The humans are deploying unusual devices from their ships. Explain, Hexaz Tool demanded. They appear to be clusters of small autonomous units, not missiles, not drones. They don't match any known weapon signature. They're releasing some kind of particles. No, it's more like a cloud of. Hexaz Tool moved to the tactical station and studied the readings himself. What he saw made no sense. Are those water droplets with some kind of additive? Yes, Supreme Commander. Our analysis indicates it's a simple compound of hydrogen dioxide with sodium chloride. And is that artificial coloring? Launch the SMARFs, Commander Chen ordered. Morrison couldn't help but grimace at the acronym. Simple molecular aerosol resonance fritzers had seemed like a joke when Dr. Patel first proposed them. Now they were Earth's last hope. From the launch bays of the human ships, hundreds of small devices dispersed, each no larger than a coffee thermos. Once in position, they began to spray their contents in carefully calculated patterns, a fine mist of colored salt water. All SMARFs deployed and operational, the tactical officer reported. Spray pattern established. Waiting for Krillian response. Chen nodded, tension evident in her posture. Now we see if Dr. Patel's theory holds water, she said, her grim joke falling flat in the tense atmosphere of the bridge. What are they doing? Hexaz Tool demanded as he watched the bizarre spectacle unfold. The human vessels had formed a defensive perimeter and were now hiding behind clouds of colored mist that were expanding through space, propelled by minimal thrust units. It appears to be some kind of primitive countermeasure, his science officer suggested. Perhaps they believe it will interfere with our targeting systems. Hexaz Tool made a dismissive gesture. Pathetic. Order the Vanguard to advance through the mist and destroy their lead vessels. Yes, Supreme Commander. 5 Krillian destroyers moved forward, their quantum phase shields gleaming as they approached the expanding colorful clouds. As they made contact with the mist, nothing happened initially. Then, alarms began blaring across the tactical display. Supreme Commander. The Vanguard reports shield failures, multiple systems malfunctioning. Impossible. Hexaz Tool slammed a clawed appendage against his command console. Our shields can withstand plasma cannons and antimatter warheads. How can water droplets affect them? The science officer was frantically analyzing the data. It's not the water itself, Supreme Commander. It's a resonance effect. The quantum phase shields operate by maintaining specific vibrational patterns at the subatomic level. Somehow, these water molecules with their simple sodium chloride additives are creating a harmonic disruption that. A massive explosion cut off his explanation as one of the Vanguard destroyers erupted in flames, its quantum shield generators overloaded by the unexpected interaction with the colored salt water. On the Resolute, Commander Chen watched with a mixture of disbelief and hope as the Krillian destroyer exploded. It's working, Morrison whispered. By all the stars, it's actually working. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Dr. Patel theorized that their quantum shields would be vulnerable to disruption by certain molecular resonance patterns. The salt water creates a field of harmonic interference that destabilizes their shield matrix. So we're essentially killing them with, what, space squirt guns? In a manner of speaking, Chen replied. The most advanced shield technology in the galaxy, and it can be disrupted by colored salt water sprayed in the right pattern. It sounds ridiculous, but physics doesn't care about dignity. Morrison shook his head in amazement. No wonder High Command classified this operation. No one would have believed it. Order all ships to advance behind the SMARF screen, Chen commanded. Target the confused Krillian vessels and fire conventional weapons as soon as their shields fail. Hexaz Tool watched in horror as a second destroyer succumbed to catastrophic shield failure, its hull breached by subsequent human weapons fire. Around it, 3 more Krillian vessels were reporting system malfunctions and shield instabilities. Recall the Vanguard immediately, he ordered. All vessels maintain distance from those clouds. The human vessels are advancing behind the aerosol screen, his tactical officer reported. They're using it as cover. For the first time in his distinguished military career, Supreme Commander Hexaz Tool felt a sensation he had never experienced before, doubt. These primitives had somehow identified a fundamental weakness in Krillian technology that no one in 12 conquered star systems had discovered. We still outnumber them, he said, more to reassure himself than his crew. Order the fleet to regroup and prepare for a coordinated attack. We'll overwhelm these devices with our superior numbers. But as he watched more of the small aerosol dispensers being launched from the human ships, each creating expanding clouds of shield-disrupting mist, his Toll felt an unfamiliar coldness settle in his thorax. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were advancing. The Krillians are pulling back, Commander, Morrison reported with barely contained excitement. They're attempting to regroup outside our SMARF field. Commander Chen nodded, her mind racing through possible strategies. They still outnumber us 6-1. Once they recover from the surprise, they'll adapt their tactics. She opened a channel to all Earth vessels. This is Commander Chen. We've scored our first victory against the Krillian fleet, but the battle is far from over. They're regrouping, and they'll be back. Dr. Patel's SMARFs have given us an unexpected advantage, but we need to press it now, before they find a countermeasure. She turned to her tactical officer. Contact Luna Base. Tell them to prepare for Phase 2 of Operation Last Resort. And get me Dr. Patel again. We need to scale up production of his miracle squirt guns immediately. As the human fleet advanced cautiously, behind their shield of colored mist, the massive Krillian armada continued its retreat, buying time to assess this unexpected threat. For the first time since the invasion began, a spark of hope ignited in the hearts of Earth's defenders. Their ridiculous, impossible weapon was working, and the mighty Krillian Dominion had been caught completely off guard. The battle for Earth was just beginning, but humanity had found its absurd advantage. Turning the tide. Supreme Commander Hexaz Tool paced the bridge of the inevitable conquest, his Ketan plates clicking with agitation. 12 hours had passed since the initial engagement with the human fleet, and the situation had deteriorated from what should have been a simple conquest to an increasingly problematic stalemate. "Explain to me," he hissed at his assembled command staff, "how the mightiest fleet in the Dominion is being held at bay by creatures who still burn fossil fuels on their home planet." The chief science officer, Val Zin, stepped forward, his posture submissive. "Supreme Commander, we have analyzed the human weapon extensively. It is embarrassingly simple yet devastatingly effective against our quantum phase shields." He activated a holographic display showing the molecular structure of the human weapon. "The humans are deploying a cell line solution with trace elements in a specific dispersion pattern. When our shields interact with these particles, they create a harmonic resonance that destabilizes the quantum matrix. Can we not simply recalibrate our shields?" Hexaz Tool demanded. "We are attempting to do so, but it requires a fundamental redesign of our shield generators. Such modifications would take weeks, even with our most skilled engineers." Hexaz Tool slammed a clawed appendage against the command console. "We do not have weeks. The Dominion expected this planet to be subjugated within days. Every hour we delay emboldens these primitives and undermines our reputation." The tactical officer interrupted with urgent news. "Supreme Commander, our long-range sensors detect multiple launches from the humans' lunar base. They appear to be deploying large-scale versions of their aerosol weapons." Hexaz Tool's compound eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. "How many?" "Hundreds, Supreme Commander. And they're on an intercept course with our fleet's current position." In the cramped command center of Luna Base, Commander Chen watched with satisfaction as the massive deployment of what the troops had nicknamed Super Soakers launched toward the Krillian fleet. "Dr. Patel," she said to the scientist standing beside her, "I never thought I'd see the day when the fate of humanity would depend on glorified water sprinklers." Patel smiled wearily. He hadn't slept in nearly 3 days, supervising the rapid production of his invention. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant, Commander." The Krillians focused so much on defending against high-energy weapons and sophisticated attacks that they never considered a basic chemical interaction could be their undoing. Like building an impenetrable fortress but forgetting to check if the foundations are sitting on quicksand, Chen mused. Lieutenant Morrison approached with a tablet displaying the latest sensor readings. "The lunar deployment is proceeding on schedule, Commander. The Krillians are attempting to maneuver away, but our Earth fleet is keeping them boxed in with the original SMARF field." Chen nodded. "And the civilian evacuations?" "Proceeding as ordered. The underground shelters are at 87% capacity." "Good, because if this plan fails, we'll need every advantage for a ground defense." Chen turned back to the main display. "Status of Operation Deluge." A young technician responded crisply. "The orbital water reserves have been fitted with the resonance amplifiers, Commander. We can deploy on your command." Chen took a deep breath. Earth's orbital water reserves. Massive tanks originally positioned to supply the growing lunar colonies and Mars terraforming project had been hastily retrofitted as enormous versions of Dr. Patel's SNARFs. It was a desperate gamble, using nearly all of humanity's off-world water supply in one massive attack. "Prepare to initiate Operation Deluge," she ordered. "Let's drown these bugs." On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, chaos erupted as reports of the new human offensive flooded in. "Supreme Commander, they're deploying some kind of massive water reservoirs," the tactical officer reported. "Hundreds of them, in a spherical formation around our fleet." Before Hexaz Tool could respond, the science officer interrupted. "They've modified them with resonance amplifiers. If they disperse that much solution in a coordinated pattern, our entire fleet could be affected." Hexaz Tool finished grimly. "Order all vessels to prepare for emergency hyperspace jump." The navigation officer's mandibles clicked anxiously. "The human aerosol field is disrupting our hyperspace calculations. We cannot safely jump until we clear the affected space." Hexaz Tool watched helplessly as the massive human water tanks began to position themselves. The sheer audacity of the strategy was infuriating. The greatest fleet in the Dominion, veterans of 100 successful conquests, reduced to fleeing from water sprayers. "Supreme Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the human command." Hexaz Tool hesitated. To acknowledge communication was to acknowledge the humans as equals, something no Dominion commander had ever done with a species marked for conquest. But his options were rapidly dwindling. "Display the transmission," he ordered. The holographic projector activated, displaying the image of a human female in a military uniform. Hexaz Tool recognized her as the commander of the human forces. "This is Commander Alexa Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she began without preamble. "Your fleet is surrounded by our resonance weapons. We have enough to disable every ship in your armada." Hexaz Tool maintained his composure, though his inner eyelids flickered with suppressed rage. "This is Supreme Commander Hexaz Tool of the Krillian Dominion. Your primitive tactics have earned you a temporary advantage, but do not mistake delay for victory. The Dominion does not retreat." The human commander's expression remained impassive. "We're not asking for your retreat, Commander Hexaz Tool. We're offering terms." "Terms?" Hexaz Tool's mandibles clicked in surprise. "You have two options," Chen continued. "First option, we activate Operation Deluge, disable your fleet, and destroy your vessels one by one. Your entire invasion force will be lost." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "Second option, you withdraw from Earth space and acknowledge humanity as a sovereign, protected species. In return, we provide you with the complete research on the resonance effect that compromises your shields." Hexaz Tool's compound eyes narrowed. "You would give us the means to counter your only effective weapon." "Consider it a gesture of good faith," Chen replied, "and a demonstration that humans prefer cooperation to conquest. You have 1 hour to decide." As the transmission ended, the bridge of the inevitable conquest fell silent. The tactical officer finally broke the tension. "Supreme Commander, our analysis confirms the humans' claim. If they deploy their water reserves with the resonance amplifiers, approximately 87% of our fleet will be affected." Hexaz Tool turned to his first officer. "Contact the Dominion High Council. Inform them of our situation." On Luna Base, Commander Chen disconnected from the transmission and exhaled slowly. "Do you think they'll accept?" Dr. Patil asked. "They're calculating beings," Chen replied. "They'll recognize that even if they somehow defeat us, we've already transmitted the SNARF technology to every human colony and outpost. They'd face the same resistance everywhere they go." Morrison approached with new information. "Commander, our sensors detect communication activity among the Krillian fleet. They appear to be contacting their homeworld." Chen nodded. "Now we wait. Maintain Operation Deluge at full readiness." The next 53 minutes passed in tense silence. Finally, the communication system chimed with an incoming transmission from the inevitable conquest. Supreme Commander Hexaz Tool's image appeared, his posture noticeably stiffer than before. "Commander Chen, the Dominion High Council has considered your proposal." Chen waited, maintaining a neutral expression. "We will withdraw from Earth space," Hexaz Tool continued, each word clearly painful for him to utter, "and recognize humanity as a sovereign species exempt from Dominion expansion. And in return, we will provide complete documentation on the resonance effect." Chen confirmed. "Additionally, we propose establishing diplomatic relations between our peoples. There is much we could learn from each other through peaceful exchange." Hexaz Tool's mandibles twitched slightly, the Krillian equivalent of a resigned sigh. "The Council has authorized me to initiate preliminary diplomatic protocols, pending our withdrawal." "Excellent," Chen replied. "We'll transmit coordinates for a neutral meeting point where we can exchange the technical data and begin formal diplomatic proceedings." As the transmission ended, the command center of Luna Base erupted in cheers. Commander Chen allowed herself a small smile before raising her hand for silence. "This isn't over yet," she cautioned. "Maintain all defensive measures until the last Krillian ship has left our system." Dr. Patil approached her, wonder evident in his exhausted face. "We actually did it. We repelled an invasion from a vastly superior force with salt water." Chen nodded. "Sometimes the greatest advantage isn't technology or numbers. It's thinking differently. The Krillians conquered 12 systems using the same tactics, the same technology. They never had to innovate because they never failed. Until they met humans," Morrison added with a grin. "Until they met humans," Chen agreed. "Let's make sure they remember this lesson. Prepare the technical package for the Krillians. But," she paused with a slight smile, "let's be sure to mark it solution to your problem." 3 days later, Commander Chen stood in the observation dome of Luna Base, watching as the last of the Krillian vessels disappeared into hyperspace. Beside her, Dr. Patel and Lieutenant Morrison observed the departure with equal measures of relief and pride. "The diplomatic team reports that the initial exchange went smoothly," Morrison informed her. "The Krillians seem genuinely interested in establishing ongoing relations." "Of course they are," Chen replied. "We demonstrated something they've never encountered before, a species that could defeat them through ingenuity rather than force. That makes us either valuable allies or dangerous enemies. And they definitely don't want us as enemies," Patil added. "Not after we showed them how easily we could disable their most advanced technology with the equivalent of squirt guns." Chen smiled. "I've been ordered to lead the first official diplomatic mission to Krillia Prime. Apparently, their scientists are eager to collaborate with ours, particularly you, Dr. Patel." "Me?" Patel looked surprised. "You discovered a fundamental flaw in their most advanced technology that their own scientists missed for centuries. They're impressed, and probably a little embarrassed." As they watched the stars where the Krillian fleet had been, Morrison asked the question that had been on everyone's mind. "Do you think they'll come back, with new shields or different weapons?" Chen considered this for a moment. "They might. But next time, they'll approach with caution and respect. And next time, we'll be ready with more than just water guns." She turned from the viewport to face her colleagues. "The universe just got a lot more interesting. Humanity has arrived on the galactic stage, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. And we did it with the most absurd weapon imaginable." Dr. Patil smiled. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful. A lesson the Krillians won't soon forget," Chen agreed, turning back to the stars. "And hopefully, neither will we." In the vast darkness of space, where the Krillian fleet had once threatened Earth, there was now only peaceful emptiness, a testament to humanity's most powerful weapons: creativity, adaptability, and the audacity to try the absurd when conventional wisdom fails. The Krillian Dominion had encountered many species in their expansion across the galaxy, but they would forever remember humans as the species that defeated their mighty armada with nothing more than glorified water guns. And in the annals of galactic history, Earth would be known as the world that taught the Dominion an invaluable lesson. Never underestimate a species that thinks differently.